Hello, peoples. Okay, how's it going? I was totally not gonna even stream. I'm just gonna come on and stream. Just checking my Facebook stream. I One of these days I'll actually edit this correctly. So yes, hello. It is Friday, right? Wait, today's Friday. Today is Friday, May 15th, 2020. 2020. Just decided to jump on here. Don't really have any specific plans on what I'm going to chat about. Chat. Um, um, so yeah, May 15th, 2020. We can do a little update. I don't even know if I'm gonna, let's see. If I look at numbers, we got United States. Let's say 1,600 deaths. Brazil seems to be going up, or at least are on their upper peak trajectory, I guess. Maybe South America in general. Sweden up 100 something. Should probably open up the chat, huh? So yeah. Anything you guys want to talk about? If you're watching here on a Friday night, you know, just wanting to hang out, then welcome. I mean, what else could you be doing, right? Be working out. That'd be good. Today, I worked out for like 10 minutes, I think. I literally jumped on the treadmill. 10 minutes later, um, I had an urge to go to the bathroom, and I never got back on. Kenji, what's up, man? How's it going? How's it going down now in California? California. Is that what they say? Hey, that kind of rhymed, right? What's new, man? I remember wanting to visit LA, and I wanted to stay with you, just hang out. But that trip was a while ago. I think that was 2019, maybe 2018, possibly, possibly. But those trips are on hold, obviously. Yeah, usually, if people are chatting with me, I just type or I just read their chat, their comments, and then respond to them. Whether it be on Twitch, I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube as well. But most of the people that I know are from Facebook. Um, I usually keep up with the Facebook chat the most. I mean, what one thing I have done. I mean, if you want to be a guest on the the stream, I have Zoom called or Facebook or any sort of video call, and then I would put them on my screen as well. You know, I would put them, I think, right over here. It'd be like, then it'd be obviously be easier to actually have a conversation, but you know, yeah, no, it's all good if you can do the chat from the from the what do you call it, comments as well. So what's SoCal like? California's opening up, right? Stuff, things are opening up, maybe. Isn't there like wait, California? I feel like isn't California just like super political, right? And then every decision is basically being, you know, dissected, right? Criticized or whatnot. You know, should we open up? What phases? How long should these phases be? You know, I don't know. Any specific opinions on what you think is the wisest course of action? Oh, going back to work Monday. That's cool. That's good news, right? What is uh what is work though? You know, if you were not going to work, do you feel hurt that you're not an essential business? You know, because that's part of the protest, right? That they feel they're essential workers as well. You know, they deserve to work. It's part of freedom. You know, I don't know. I remember talking about or thinking about, you know, there's this idea that the virus is not as deadly as was once thought, right? But so then they're like, you know, I have the right to work. I have the right to make my own choice to go into work, to take the risk of going to work, right? And then people want to keep that right, right? And that's part of the freedom, their freedom to assemble. And I don't know, like I feel like that's not the best argument because what if let's just say in the hypothetical world that the virus is more deadly than we thought? Would then it be the right to assemble and would you protest that much more or as much, you know? Or if it was more contagious than what we thought, right? Because, you know, there are technically there are lives on the line. Ah, yes. Okay. I knew you were at some sort of I didn't know you're still doing that, I guess. Rod building. That's cool. At fishing, man. I don't know if you know this, but I've never been a day of fishing in my life. My parents were never into fishing. The closest I've gone to fishing was watching my friend um, in his backyard, you know, throw a line out into the lake and you know, and try to catch something. He did catch something actually, but that was the closest I've ever been to actual fishing. Of course, I didn't do it, but you know, whatever. Yeah, there's definitely some dangers there. I thought about even the idea of like, you know, maybe I could even rationalize that. You know, I feel like I'm healthy enough to go out, but what about the people I'm around? You know, what about my family? What about even my housemates? You know, is it my right to put their health and well being on the line too? That's probably I feel like that's one of the biggest key differences in this specific virus, this pandemic, is that the idea of being asymptomatic and the possibility of it, you know being spread in that situation. Because in a regular cold or flu, when you're contagious because you sneeze and you do all these things, and that's how you spread it. But in this situation, it's not so much that. So, and then and you're in this situation, you're really kind of dependent upon you know the wisdom of your the people that you counter, the people that are going out, the people that come in the store or you work with or whatnot, right? So and you'd like to think you can trust those people, but all it takes is one person, right? And that's I always think about like a movie plot, right? There's always that one person, right? Even I remember was it um Outbreak, the movie, right? It was that one guy, and he just spread it all around, and that was 100%, you know, kill rate, whatever, right? So, holla, official nuclear, or it could be ear, nuck one ear, possibly. What's going on? Um, just chatting about random stuff. Decide to hop on just to stream. I didn't really have any specific plan, but Mary Kong, hello. I do not speak. I believe this is Spanish of some kind. Hola, mi nombre es Mary Tango, 23 años, casi 24. Does that mean you're turning 24? Is that possible? Yes. Agreed. So I think, yeah, Kenji, I'd agree. So it's like, who knows? You're encountering people, right? So it's tough, man. It's a interesting debate. Let's just say. I've thought about even the idea, because like the idea of vaccines, right? And the idea that vaccines are not 100%. They're actually more like 50%. So if a vaccine comes out, is that necessarily going to make things that much better? And we don't even know we don't even know that how long this will be with us. I mean, normally you would think that it's going to have that nice bell curve and it just disappears. It's gone. But you know, who's to say it's not gonna last? Who's to say like this idea of like viruses? There's thousands or whatever, or a bunch of viruses constantly, always. Not everyone actually has symptoms or has outward things. No habla español. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my Spanish is not so good. Mi español no. I don't know how to say it. I remember how to say I don't know in the French. Je ne sais pas. I don't understand. It's crazy how everything that we know about this virus is like, it's preliminary, right? Every single study out there that's being done is preliminary. There's some evidence, or what you would call evidence, some studies, but like in any study, and that's why vaccines take forever to even make, is that you have to do a mass amount of studies, a mass amount of test cases, test subjects, to be able to determine, if the drug is safe, if it works. Um, so even in our studies right now that we're doing, it's all, a lot of it is like initial findings, right? So I mean, just imagine, what if we don't, like, we won't know, and it actually lingers for a long time, right? Because like, even looking at Brazil stats, right, Ecuador stats, the virus is like, it's starting to peak, or even, I don't know even if it's at peak yet, you know, but it's at its but Brazil had its highest death total today, and so yeah, so that's not the best, situation. And is that necessarily a sign of, will this go away in the summer kind of situation, right? Which we're hoping that it would act like the flu and it'll be gone by the summer. Search in YouTube. Okay. I don't know. Let me just search this. Interesting. Maybe I won't. But yes. So yeah. It's funny, there's some sort of weird, we call it Spanish conversation going on in Twitch chat. Oh no, that's YouTube chat. Ah, I can tell if it's YouTube or Twitch. But so yeah, so we don't know if it'll continue on. It is promising. I mean, the thing is, even like South Korea, right? Like there has been there was no deaths in the last, I don't know, a couple days or something. But there was a small outbreak or something that happened. Um, so then they're tracking that. It's easier to trace because there's so low outbreak. But nevertheless, there's like possibilities of, like, you know outbreak possibilities, right? Which I can see the case of civil liberties being, threatened, I guess, right? So because, if they say, like, we're gonna keep track of you, privacy is not going to be, it's going to be put on hold a little bit because we need to save lives, right? So let's say they do that. When will it reopen, or when will they turn off the idea of, like, you know tracking us? Even though technically, our data is always being tracked and stuff, right? Privacy, what is that real? We don't know. But but uh, but yeah, what will they just go? Oh yeah, we're no longer gonna track you anymore. We're not gonna, like, they just go, oh, we got to keep this up because the virus is still out there. So maybe this trace contact tracing will always be with us, right? Isn't that what the UFC is doing right now? They're having fights, which is pretty crazy. But they have like wristbands. I don't know if this is UFC or somewhere else. Some of the sporting event, they have like wristbands saying that this we've been tested and whatnot. So, and they have to wear that, and they have to, like, continue to be tested or whatnot to see if they have the virus or whatnot, right? And then there was a fighter that actually came down with, they tested positive for the virus, and then they pulled him from the card, right? Obviously, so he couldn't fight anymore. But I mean, they kept it going, right? So UFC is moving forward. I didn't see any specific news in terms of how Disney was going in Shanghai. Let me look that up. Shanghai Disney. Shanghai Disney. Early reception may be good sign for California's Disneyland. Hollywood Reporter just said that. Okay. There's been zero mention about a possible reopening in the Anaheim Park, although the resort is currently allowing July hotel reservations. So they may be open for July. I think baseball, Major Leagues, was moving forward with plans of opening in July, right? Sia Nuclear. Thanks for joining for the brief time you did. Let's see. Shanghai Disneyland reopened Monday, and the entire week sold out almost immediately. Um, Ticket demand is high, and that did not deter would-be visitors. So I don't know if this was specifically. It was more talking about maybe busyness, right? Like, will people be, what do you call it? Will people be wary of coming back to doing these kind of things, right? And Kenji, I think you were saying that you were a little afraid, and I can totally see that. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that might not necessarily be afraid, but they're like so um, desiring like the ability to go out and do normal things, right? And they don't even need necessarily permission. It's or like even just the idea that the park is open, that's permission enough, right? They're like, oh, we'll just trust that they're gonna do everything to keep us safe, and we'll go, right? Because I mean, I think people are more willing to take that risk, right? Take that risk as opposed to I don't know, being more cautious. Why are they willing to take that risk? Because they're not. I don't know. That's a good question. Why? Because they're not. They feel indestructible. They feel like being inside and stuck is so much worse. But I don't know. Is that rationale sound? Okay, here we go. Let me just keep reading this article a little bit. For parks and resorts, we calculate Disney to lose to 1.5 to 1.8 billion. Okay, we already knew this. Or there's maximum capacity for Shanghai Disneyland is 80,000 a day. Under the current government restrictions, the park must cap occupancy at 30%, which is 24,000 visitors a day. I didn't see any specific news of how they're doing, I guess. It's only been a week. Or not even a week. I think this week is when they open. So it's not necessarily. I hear some photos. 3 days? Like that, these are 3 days ago. Mercury News. Here, maybe I can put this up. Fade. Okay, here's the Oh, I'm using an ad blocker. Let's pause. Refresh. Okay, here's some photos. This is May 11th. Here's the social distancing. They actually have things on the ground of where to stand. Everybody's wearing a mask. Here's an advertisement. Yes. Looks like everybody's wearing a mask. More advertisement. Is this social distancing on this boat? Is that 6 feet though? Okay, here's lines. It looks pretty spacious. Is this everybody's wearing a mask, I guess? That's what it is. I mean, one thing that's really confusing to me is the idea of people people having a problem of wearing a mask. Now, I don't know if anybody knows or if anybody can help me out in terms of where is the maybe give me an article or something that shows that wearing a mask is actually worse than not wearing a mask. Because it seems to me like wearing a mask makes sense. Um, it would seemingly prevent spreading of anything, honestly, or I mean, of most things, I guess. It can't like obviously unless you have like an N95. Everybody wears an N95 mask and continues to change it, get new ones every single time, every single whatever day or something. But it some sort of like it's what's the negative of wearing a mask? I guess is the question. Why are people so against it? Because I know that Costco, loyal Costco member here, Costco, they recently, had it where you have to have a mask to even shop there. And there was a lot of people that, were up in arms against that policy, right? Like I mean, there's plenty of Twitter pushback, and people were like, I will never shop at Costco, or I will, cancel my membership or something like that because you have to wear a mask to shop, because it's so, what do you call it, at a detriment to you to wear a mask. I don't know, that seems a little weird. Like somehow wearing a mask infringes upon your freedom, right? Like I think people are slightly using the word freedom a little bit, you know, a little bit weird sometimes. Like the freedom to do whatever you want. That could be a very Western ideology, American ideology. Is that how dare you infringe upon my right to do whatever I want? I think the argument is, oh yeah, I mean, obviously you can like just go around killing people or something. That's like being a negative to society. But at what level is this spreading of this virus a slight, negative to society, right? Like because maybe yeah, you are spreading the disease to other people, right? Isn't that a responsibility of a social responsibility? If what you are doing possibly has possible some negative effects on people around you, you know. So that yeah, American entitlement, yes, 100%. And I feel like that's very. I mean, not that I'm like keeping up with every single news outlet in the world, but it's a very American thing that people are doing to, protest, to actively protest, to actively go in crowds, to actively open up your business, and in defiance of any sort of, local whatever, So that's very American. That seems to be like distinctly what Americans are doing, as opposed to other places. Like I don't know, like I was talking to my friend that's Canadian. Like he's like, yeah, we're just obeying the law and we're doing whatever. And I think there was the idea of being arrested for being in a park or being in these situations, and there were people that were like, no, we're not enforcing, like police officers were not enforcing it, and and that's because they don't feel like it's constitutional or whatnot. I don't know. Um, and but what about like even just giving fines, right? And I don't know if that's like a is that worse? Like it doesn't seem like that's happening in America. I know in Europe and other places. Excuse me, a cough. Yeah, in other places like they give $1,000 fines all the time for people. Yeah, they're not doing the whole lockdown situation. And America's not doing that. I don't think anywhere. Oh, maybe New York. I don't know. I think New York maybe is, but but wouldn't that? I mean, that would be a pretty and that'd be a pretty. I think for me that would be a pretty good deterrent to not do that stuff, right? If just people were just handing out slips like a ticket, basically, right? And I guess maybe there's idea that you don't like you're just not gonna pay it or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just it doesn't work in America. Like they'll fight it in courts, and whatnot, and they don't want to create a legal situation. That could be the reasoning. I think possibly, which is a whole nother American thing, right? The idea you can sue, like you can sue for anything. That's very American. I think lawyers have the most power in America. If you want to be a lawyer, want to practice the law, and you want to make money off of it, come to America. You'll do well. So maybe that's why that's not happening. So, but again, I'm just a dude. I don't know too much. I'm at a what do you call it? An average level of intelligence. I get some things. I might not get other things. Um, but but yeah, but there's some things that it just doesn't make sense to me, or at least in terms of rationale, in terms of why people are doing things. But but yeah, so hopefully we'll see what the next month or so will involve. Will the curve go down drastically? It seems like a lot of projections are estimating less drastic lowering of the virus, right? I mean, there was the whole remdesivir or even the chloroquine hope treatment was out there. That's going to help things, right? There's nothing wrong with hope, but we'll see if the numbers reflect that, right? So yeah, we'll see that in the next month. And my wish, my hope is that by football season we'll see football being played. I mean, is that just weird and selfish that I all I want is football? That's all I want, man. All these other things, just give me football still. Maybe that also is because um, I also get paid for going to games and stuff. So it also is to do with my getting some money, getting some extra money. I'm hoping that I want some money. I might need some money in the future. I think I'm okay right now, just because I saved up a little bit. But every month goes by, and I still pay rent. There's still bills to pay. So that's a little, yeah. I mean, I guess I can only imagine if someone was like not in my situation where their immediate bills like if they live on check to check, right? And there's a lot of people that say that they're like that, right? And how much of desperation situation would there be if I was in that, right? So yeah, false hope and denial of truth is dangerous. 100% agreed. There's one thing to be a hopeful person, to be an optimistic person, but there's another one um, to be not seeing the truth, right? And truth, it seems very, very, what do you call it? What is the word that I'm looking for? I hate when I stumble upon my own words, but it's a very like back and forth thing. Like it seems to change every single day. Like what is truth, right? What do the numbers say? What is science? People use that word of like just follow the science. Follow the data, and people that say that are opposite camps. You know, there's one group that says follow the science, and oh, the death rate is not as high as we thought, and there's more infections that we didn't know about, so it's a lot less dangerous. Okay, that may be true, but like look at Italy, look at France, look at Spain, look at a lot of these places that have been, I mean New York City, that have been ravaged by, it, right? I mean, what's that science? What's that data, right? And yeah, there's possibilities that there's totally different responses that people have in various locations, various regions, right? Like if you live in a certain area that's more dense, obviously, if you live in areas that, um, have more people that are single or whatnot. Um, so yeah, there's a possible that, but why does it feel like there's one side versus the other side? Why does it feel like I mean, I think one thing is that shouldn't we be as careful as we can be? Shouldn't we be as cautious as we can be? You know, like what if God forbid there's a resurgence in cases, I think wasn't the Spanish flu like that, where it went and like it surged. It was like can't remember which virus was it, because I get so much input of data that I confuse a lot of things, right? And maybe that's the problem, is that people just kind of believe what the selective belief system. But the idea that, what if it gets worse later? What if it gets just as bad? What if in the fall it returns or whatnot, right? Shouldn't we try to get it to the point where it's so low, the rate is so low that we can do contact tracing? You know, like, people are afraid to even look at some of these other countries that are doing contact tracing, or maybe even just the idea of looking at China, right? China seems to be like a very negative subject in the eyes of some Americans. Like, China is the enemy, and in some ways, maybe China is, right, in terms of the human rights violations or whatnot, right? But what if in there's a lot of ways they're doing things right? I'm not talking about like the authoritarian government situation, but they're opening things back up. Their Disneyland is opening again. You know, they're playing baseball. Well, I guess a Chinese league is playing baseball in Taiwan, right? Or even look at South Korea. They're playing baseball again. Don't we want to play baseball again? Don't we want sports to go on again? You know? So these are some of the things that, maybe I don't know, we're just not willing to have a good discussion about it. It is weird to live in a country where it's so polarizing. Like, my prediction was that at some point, because it's election year, there's going to be a movement or push to villainize, um, or to maybe put more authority, or what do you call it? I don't know what the word is. I'm terrible at words. That they can push the agenda of a lot of people that believe that this is over exaggerated, or there's some level of conspiracy going on here. You know, like the media, the left is giving you false data, reporting wrong things. I'm also the first, not the first, but like, I also see the idea that stations like CNN and MSNBC are very political. CNN is not what it used to be. Not a reliable news source that like, clearly they have a certain agenda, right? But at the same time, like what are we what what are we trusting? Just because CNN posts it doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because Fox News posts it doesn't mean it's wrong either. Can we not have a civil discourse about everything? Because I mean, there's going to be a huge debate, I think, of like the idea of numbers are being reported wrong, and there is already currently a debate about that, right? And even if the cases, let's say, even if the deaths go up to like 100,000 or more than that, people are going to be disputing it. Right, and that's what I'm disputing, the fact there are people dying, but there are maybe the numbers, right? And in your mind, like, what is the correct number, right? If 100,000 people die, 150,000 people die, or whatever, um, and you're like, oh man, they're reporting the numbers wrong, so you're just gonna not believe any of that, right? Maybe you're just gonna discount anybody dying. or right? And what is the correct number that you're willing to accept, right? Like let's say 150,000 people die, 150,000 people, let's say they die. Then you're gonna be like, well, it's only really 50,000 or something. You're in your mind is like gonna be like, oh, it's like the flu, basically, the normal flu. You know, and even if they are reporting skewing the numbers a little bit, if it's 100,000 or 150,000 or anything like that, like 80% maybe it'll be different. So then you'll be at 100, it'll be 80,000 or something. I don't know. And that's only like estimates. Who knows if that's even a good estimate? Like, and not so much a good estimate that it'll be way lower, but what if it's possibly way higher? You know. So, and are you willing to risk that? Are you willing to risk the possibility? You know, I guess you're weighing it versus. Excuse me. Just swallowed the hair or something. Are you willing to risk, the possibility of it being way worse than we could imagine, right? And then the argument is that, oh, it's not as bad as what we thought, but maybe it is actually now. Now that the estimates have been increased to like 100 and whatever thousand people. Yes. So, anyways, so that's just some of my thoughts. Um, and this is of course one of the, I mean, not so much the reason why I think this way, but like it thinking about the people that are around me, my parents who are definitely on the older side, and then other family members. Um, yeah, it's funny because like sometimes I used to be in the mode of like, hey, what's your weekend plans? I mean, do we ever have weekend plans anymore? Gonna take a walkabout. That's my weekend plans. I definitely need to exercise more, and not eat as unhealthy. That's one of my goals. One of my goals is to, well, it's to lose a little bit of weight because I have gained some weight during this pandemic. And I want to be in better shape in general. Um, I was hoping like the best thing for me to get in shape is to play sports, team sports specifically, and that's not happening anytime soon. So it's very unfortunate. One thing that I think about is a lot of times for me to work out properly, my mind needs to be distracted. Like when I'm playing team sports, I'm distracted by the goal of that sport, whether it be playing volleyball and spiking, returning, receiving, whatever, all these things. That's my distraction. So I'm willing to like play hard, willing to sweat, willing to like do a lot of strenuous activity. But often when I'm running on a treadmill, just running and I'm thinking about, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. That's what I'm thinking about. And for me to even get up and do that, it's like a battle of the mind, you know? And I often lose. I often lose. Like today, 10 minutes, that's all I did, man. I was going to go back on the treadmill, but I was like, oh, my batteries in my laptop is running low. And that's one of the ways I distract myself is to be on my laptop watching something. Recently, I've been trying to play Settlers on my laptop so that it's really hard to run and then click on your laptop to do moves. That's difficult. Let's just say, but it is more distracting than just watching something. Because sometimes when I'm watching something, my mind is like, it's still ADD and it's still like thinks about other things and thinks about the pain in my legs or whatnot, right? So, but when I'm playing Settlers, it's a little bit more engaging. So I'm thinking, turns and moves and whatnot. So, and that's how, that's the only way I can work out is to be distracted by other things. So sad. So sad. Um, yeah. Speaking of Settlers, I know some people on Twitch, they watch my stream because of Settlers. How do I do this though? I'm gonna play some Settlers. People want to talk still, please, by all means, keep talking. But I'm gonna play some.